Leah would be spending Halloween by herself because her parents had to work late. And so this was really her first Halloween by herself. And she was 14, so she was to the point she really didn't want to go trick or treating anymore. So she decided just to stay home, watch some scary movies, and she invited one of her friends. So that night, it started to rain really hard. And they get a knock at the door. And when they open it, they notice what looks like a young boy, but he has a hoodie on. And the girls are asking him, like, what's wrong? What do you need? Because he didn't really look like a trick or treater because he was just dressed in a normal hoodie and he had his head down. And he told them that he needed to come in the house to borrow a phone. Well, they look at each other and they're like, well, you can use one of our cell phones to call somebody. And he was trying really hard to get into the house. So the girls thought it was odd. But because he looked so young, they were like, well, what's the harm? But as they go to tell him that he could come in, it's almost like something forcing them not to let him in. And the kid is getting really angry. And so it's making the girls more uncomfortable. And so even though it's a kid, they feel something is off. So they tell him, hey, look, we'll let you use our cell phone, but I don't think it's a good idea for you to come in. So he gets angry and he leaves. Well, that night, there are some trick or treaters, and then once it hits 12 o'clock, all the candy is gone, and the girls are getting ready to go to bed because they have school the next morning. Then they hear a knock, and they're very confused because it's 12 o'clock. Kids really normally don't trick or treat after a certain time. But they decide to look through the peephole and see who it is. They notice it is the same little boy. The scary part is, though, is that this time through the peephole, they can see his eyes. And his eyes looking back at them in the peephole are black. So the girls are freaking out and they call the parents, and luckily the parents are on the way home. But the parents think that, oh, it's just the kid's imagination. So there's a doorbell ring footage, so the girls think, well, maybe he showed up on it. Well, the creepy thing was that he didn't. And so, as nights go by, they wonder if they'll see this little boy again. Well, as the nights go on and Leah is by herself once again, and this time her friend can't come over, so she's completely by herself, and it freaks her out because she's thinking to herself, This is going to be the night that I see this kid again. Sure enough, there's a knock on her door. She doesn't answer it because she already feels she knows that it's this little boy. So she looks through the peephole, and this time there's three. And all three of them are looking at her like they know she's there, and they're screaming for her to let them in. She doesn't. She calls her parents because she is so terrified of what she has just seen. Her parents end up coming home from work early, and after the incident, she never stays home by herself. And so far, she has never seen them three boys again after that night. But she always will remember the look on their faces and that their eyes were black. And she also, after that, never likes to be alone. And still to this day, none of the boys showed up on the ring camp, which was odd in itself. So, her and her friend knows what happened, but her parents just think it's a teenager's imagination. But we know it's not.